Have I missed anybody?
Did we hear from Julie Agnew, and there's Sandra Galea Martinez also?
Oh, Sandra, go ahead.
I am Sandy Martinez. I am with Mesa El Cajon AAUW. I am co-chair for programs, and I do Women in History as well. So,
Right. Julie Agnew, you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Julie Agnew and co-president with Chicky at the AV branch. We have about 30 minutes.
That's right. I met you. That's right. Okay, good. Okay, well, we're going to get started here. And I've just got a couple of slides to put up here. So bear with me while I start this. Okay, so welcome to our meeting here. We're going to introduce a couple of the people who are responsible for the various parts of leadership development. So we've got Sandy Gabe, who's our president and also a member of our committee, and Dawn Johnson, who is the director of communications and also a member of our committee, Sharon Siebert, who is the director of branch support, Marcia Swales, who's the director of membership, and myself, I'm the director of leadership development. We're going to hear from Sandy first to talk about the vision for AUW California and a little bit about the marketing plan, which I'm sure you all have heard information about in the past, but now it's actually happening. And then a little bit about what is a peer group and how we participate. Then we'll hear from Sharon on branch support, then Marcia on membership, and then me on leadership. And then we'll open it up to comments and suggestions from the whole group as to what you'd like to see in these meetings. Okay. So I'm going to unstop share. And Sandy, we could spotlight you. There we go.
Oh boy. Is that really necessary?
Well, there's 33 people on this call.
I know.
The squares are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like
all right, I'm gonna have to look someplace else. It's hard to look at yourself that big in the middle of the screen. So I'm happy to be here today, and what I wanted to talk a little bit about is where AAUW California is going. And for our purposes, we decided to merge a couple of the different committees together, branch development, leadership development, and branch support, because we all have a piece of developing membership and leadership at the branch level. And so rather than having all of us individually try to connect with you, it was a similar kind of group who wanted or needs to hear this information or participate. So we decided to merge them together. And peer groups are groups of individuals who have similar jobs. And our whole goal is to connect with each other. You guys have a lot of experience out there that you can share with each other and share with us. And we'll do some of the guiding of some of the conversation. But this is an opportunity for us to get together and identify challenges, identify solutions, and to do that on a pretty regular basis. What we have coming up this year, as Sigrid mentioned, is we're really moving our marketing plan forward. So we started a couple of years ago and we did some work on brand personas, like who are we? What do we want to be known for? We did a survey of membership and did some focus groups and really recognized that part of our sweet spot is the group of folks who are around retirement age. Maybe leaning into it, maybe already there, maybe anticipating it. And that's a group that we are pretty comfortable with already. So a lot of our activities lean towards that group. And so that's an area of focus. The other area that we're working on this year is educators. So we are launching a campaign, and you're going to see it in Board to Board in just a couple of days. But we are looking at our educators. So we have frequently talked about our CU partners and having a CU organization, you know, an agreement between a university and AAUW. And that provides us some access for a couple of people at the university to work with AAUW and to maybe get a student organization going on campus, to table on campus, all of which has been difficult through the pandemic because we were not really on campus. So what we're looking at now is all of those educators, for the most part, qualify for AAUW. So you don't have to have that awkward conversation about, do you have a degree, as you try to engage somebody to participate in AAUW. So we have an activity going on, an advertising campaign that's going to start very shortly using LinkedIn. And LinkedIn allows us to reach out to educators. We have created a landing page just for educators, and we're trying to entice them because we think that a lot of the activities that we do and the mission and values that we have are consistent with that educator group. So that's one part of what's going on. And you'll hear news that we changed our LinkedIn environment. So if you are a LinkedIn user, we were a personal page, and now we are a company page, and a company page allows us to do the advertising. So we're going to be contacting people and asking them to follow our new company page. So you'll see that shortly. We have 700 folks who have been followers of ours. So we're going to be sending them a personal invitation to join us on the company page. And we've also posted on our old LinkedIn a notice that says we've moved and asking people to join us on the new page. The other advertising that we're doing is through Google Grants for nonprofits. So we were awarded a grant through Google of up to $10,000 a month for advertising. And so we have launched those advertisements, and you can envision what they look like. If you think about when you go to Google and you know you looked for shoes yesterday, or you thought about shoes, and on the right-hand side, Google knows you thought about shoes. So that's what we're going to have. So those ads are live. We are fine-tuning them with our marketing partner and trying to get our spend limit up. So it's a whole complicated thing about how much they cost and which ones you can do and what the keywords are and stuff like that. So we have a company that we're working with that has experience in this area guiding us. So we're hoping that those two pieces of our advertising are going to help one of your biggest challenges that you've told us about, which is getting members. So that's really what we're focused on with the membership component. And Sigrid's going to talk a little bit more about the leadership component, but we've also heard from you that encouraging people to be leaders in the organization has become challenging. Maybe it always was challenging. It feels more challenging these days. We're hearing from a lot of branches who are taking some pretty extreme actions because they don't have leaders. So Sigrid is going to talk about some leadership development programs that we're going to be rolling out later this year. So I think that covers the topics that you were looking for, Sigrid. Is
yes, perfect. Thank you so much for being here and for telling us about all of the marketing things. Next, we're going to hear from Sharon, and she's going to talk about branch support. And some of you probably know Sharon from prior engagements with the branch support group. Thanks,
Hi.
Sharon.
So this is my third term on the state board, and I've done leadership development and branch support. And I am the person that usually gets engaged when you send email to Ask Us First. I get questions about everything under the sun. And then I have to figure out if it's something that I would handle or something that one of the other people on our leadership team would best be the person to answer it. For any of you who have spoken to me, you know I'm not shy, so I'm happy to tell you what I know, and it covers the gamut from fundraising to leaders and bylaws. And one of the things that we are doing at the state level this year is we have a task force that is dealing with branches that are merging into other branches, branches that are in danger of, God forbid, disbanding. And the task force is standardizing what Carol Holtzgraf, the director on the state board last year, and I did as branch support. So we are putting together letters that branches can send to their membership about the challenges that the branches are having. And we have come up with many solutions. One of the other things that I'm doing is offering via Zoom, or if I'm nearby, and I'm on the Monterey Peninsula, so I'm not near a whole lot of things, offering to do board training. I'm doing a board training via Zoom for a branch in Southern California later in October, for instance. Many of their members are relatively new to AAUW, and they're unsure of how we at the state level coordinate with them and with national, and just what they can call on us to ask about. And even though there's a million pieces of information on the state website, people tend to contact Ask Us First because that's what we said they should do. So we have helped branches to merge this past year, and we help them figure out what to do with their funds that are at SPF, the Special Projects Fund, that might be designated for a specific Tech Trek camp. We've helped them figure out whether they want to set up a new fund at SPF for their local scholarships. Since that is a 501c3, it could make the donations to their local scholarships be then tax deductible. So that, with a lot of experience at the state level, since I was on the branch support committee for a number of years prior to becoming a director, sometimes I have the answers, but I'm not shy about having people go to other places also. And I think that having someone to speak to, at least initially, or email initially, and then be able to refer you to the proper place is a value that I add to the branch development committee. So is that what you wanted me to discuss, Sigrid?
Yes, go ahead. Great. And we're going to have a lot of time at the end for questions for each of our speakers, and also for comments and suggestions from those of you in the audience. But thank you, Sharon.
And I wanted to mention, whoever's talking about Sonoma State, I was at Tech Trek this summer as a dorm mom there. It's a fabulous camp. So here's hoping you can get that individual to come there too.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Our next speaker is Marcia Swales, and she is going to speak about membership and what her committee has been working on and other things that they do. So go ahead, Marcia, while I find you in this list here.
Okay, thank you, Sigrid. I'm so happy to meet all of you tonight. I'm looking forward to a wonderful year of lots of discussion and questions and learning from you. Oh my gosh, I'm having a Sandy moment where I'm filling the screen. I just want you guys to know that we have been working pretty hard over the summer on a couple of projects. And the first one I want to talk to you about is the survey that went out to members who did not renew over the last 2 years. And we asked not tons of questions because we didn't want them to feel overwhelmed, but we did try to understand a little bit about their journey in AAUW, what brought them into the organization, and then eventually led to them deciding not to renew. And there were some wonderful insights that I obtained from looking at all the data. And it's very interesting. And I would like to schedule a peer group meeting that just goes through the survey so you get the granular questions and answers that people gave to us. But overall, we didn't have that many return to us, 1%. But out of that 1%, I would say that we really did get some cohesion, some understanding of where people were either frustrated or disillusioned, the reasons why. But we also learned that there were some reasons that people didn't renew because of health or disability. And so I'm anxious to go through all of that with you. The one thing, though, that I would like to talk about tonight related to the survey, and I think we all should be doing some introspection about it, but the most common reason that people left AAUW is because they felt ignored. And I'm very concerned about that and think that we need to maybe do some best practice thinking and engagement thinking and becoming the welcoming and caring organization that at least I was attracted to and remain committed to. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with all of you and would love to hear your best practices that you do to engage members and keep them involved. It's pretty amazing. We do have a list, and that will come out with the survey overview. You'll all be receiving it soon. But it goes through the various questions, and branch by branch, you see how many members did not renew from your branches. And then you will see how many after the survey was sent. And it's not because of the survey, but they were able to finally renew. So you do get a sense of how successful we were with the survey. But I feel really glad that we did that. And I want to have these deep conversations. I think we need to do some introspection. I think any organization that's committed to growth needs to understand what is going on in our organization so that we can keep our members engaged and happy and excited to be a part of the mission of AAUW. The second thing that I would like to talk to you about is over the last many months, I have been working on a toolkit for membership. It's, I see it as a work in progress. In fact, just in the last couple of days, thank you, Palm Springs, I've received a lot of input from various people about what should be included in the toolkit. And I'm under a deadline right now. So because I want to be able to introduce it to you on October 28th at our next peer group meeting. But this is a document that I hope will be not a shortcut, that's not the right word, but so many of you have questions about where do I go to find about a life member or a 50-year life member, or how do I find the dues, all that kind of stuff. So I've tried to write it and rewrite it, and I think I've rewritten it now 4 times to address a lot of those concerns. So I guess what I'm looking forward to is that all of us will look at this document and say, this is what we need. This is like what our membership leaders in each branch need in order to be efficient and to be able to bring kind of a sense of normalcy to the joining of AAUW, the nurturing of new members, of getting them engaged. A lot of what the best practices are around the state, and there are many shining examples all the way from San Francisco down to Palm Springs to San Diego. I mean, we have some great examples. So I've tried to include a lot of those things, and hopefully after our meeting and the year together of talking about membership, that we can continue to edit and add to and make this living document something that can be very useful to branches throughout the state. And I just, I always set these goals for growth. I think last year I was overly ambitious, but I do have a goal for growth this year. And we check the numbers of new members monthly. That comes from national. So hopefully we will see by June of 2024 that we have met that goal. I'm really excited about it. So I want to thank all of you who are engaged in membership, who are trying to keep your branches excited about the mission of the AAUW, and to remember that we are so about empowering women and girls with this organization.
And I'm just gonna text Tyler that he and Alina have had long days and they're gonna stay one more night down in Cactus.
I'm sorry, is someone asking a question? Or should you just be on mute? Okay, thank you, Marcia. That was great. We're really looking forward to the next session, which is Tuesday, October 24th.
So, 24th? Okay, good.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk about leadership development. As Sandy said, this is one, third of what we do as a whole committee. And you are leaders, and you signed up for this peer group and this meeting. And I want to thank you all for doing that and for being the leaders in your branch. Without the leaders in our branches, we can't go forward. And as Sandy had said, it's been a challenge every year and seems to be getting harder to find people to take these jobs and to continue the life of a branch. And it's kind of unfortunate when, a branch that's been in place for 50 years or 100 years suddenly can't find any kind of leadership. And, they're at the risk of going out of business, or for sure merging with someone else, which isn't a bad thing. That at least you can spread the leadership talent across more people if your branch is getting too small. So I did want to thank you for that. As Sharon said earlier, there's a lot of material that is available at our state website. And our goal in each of these sessions is to try to direct you to the relevant area so that you can research it for yourself. And even if you talk to somebody and they tell you the answer to your question, you may not even know what question to ask. And this will help jog you so that you understand the whole topic. And we'll devote some time in one of our meetings to going through what's on the website. Another great resource is the Board to Board, which comes out every month. And I hope that you all are reading it and sharing it with other leaders in your branch who may not be on that list. And the way the Board to Board goes out is from the state list of officers. So if your branch's officer list is up to date, then those are the people who are going to be receiving a copy of the Board to Board. But very frequently, there'll be an article in there and it'll say, should I put this in my newsletter? And when it says yes, please do and share that information with the rest of your branch or present it at a branch meeting so that everybody feels engaged, like somebody's watching out for you and helping you wherever we can. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the components of the Leadership Development Committee. First is one that you will recognize from the recent past, and that's the branch activity of the year. And we were fortunate enough to get Jen Krausback back to do that program again. So you'll be receiving something near the end of the year announcing the program and directing you to the applications to be submitted. But it's always fun to know all the great things that are happening in every branch and to recognize the branches. And so the winning branches will be presenting at our annual meeting in the spring. And we'd love to have a submission from every branch in the state. So watch for that in the board to board, and also there'll be an email announcement later in the year. The other one is a program that has been dormant for a couple of years, and some of you may have participated in this in the past, and that's the Leader on Loan program. And Carol Holsgrave, who cannot be here tonight, will be leading that portion of the leadership development. And our goal is to tap the resources of all of our current and past leaders who may be very knowledgeable on a topic that you would like to have presented to your board or to a branch meeting, or that you'd like to have work with one of your committees on programs or membership or any other topic. It's difficult for us to travel to the branches, and the person who knows what you need to have isn't always in your location. So many of these are going to be on a Zoom basis and not be in person. But I think they'll be just as effective if you work with the leader to develop what's the topic you need to have addressed and who's the audience and what do you want the outcome to be for this Leader on Loan. The other thing that we do, and kind of main portion of this, is the actual leadership development. Some of you may remember that there was a leadership development toolkit that was distributed about 4 years ago. Very, very detailed, very well researched, lots of good information in it. And in going on a treasure hunt through our website, it's amazing the material you can find and the documents and things that can be reused. So we are going to develop a plan for 4 webinars in the coming year. And we need your help on helping to define the content of those, but they will be focused on leadership development, everything from identifying who in your branch could become a leader to how do I create an environment that makes it inviting for them and really not an onerous job, but something they would really like to do. And what are the benefits of being a leader with AAUW and how some other branches have mastered that. So we're pulling together all of those topics, and we'll have 4 webinars over the course of the year. The first one is going to be on November 28th. And then the other 3 will be in January, March, and May of next year. But you'll get more information on that in the board to board and in direct emails from our leadership team. And we'll be looking for input on what you think is important that your branch needs from our committee. Okay. These peer group meetings are going to be held monthly. They'll be on the fourth Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. And you'll receive an email invitation to each of them. As we said earlier, the next one's October 24th, and big portion of that will be Marcia presenting the membership toolkit, and then discussion of how you would use that and what other tools and ideas you would need going forward to help your branch with membership. And then on the November 28th date, that will be our first leadership development webinar, and we'll announce the topic and also send you an invitation. So you'll get an invitation each time there's a peer group meeting, and we hope that you can all attend. This goes out to branch presidents, programs people, membership people, and if there's anyone else in your branch that you think would benefit by attending these peer groups, please let us know so that we can extend an invitation to them, or you can just forward your email to them and they can register for each session. So that would be a really good way to go. Okay. We've got 11 entries in the chat box, so let's see if we can open that up, and I'm gonna remove the spotlight from me and answer some of these questions. So first one.
Actually, I have been answering them in the chat.
Oh, you have, good. Share
Well,
the
asked
answers.
us first, so I figured I was first.
Okay,
Sharon,
well,
are any of them appropriate that other people might want to know
Yes.
the answers to the questions?
yes.
Yes, I
Good-
thought I
good
would
idea.
mention some things that several of the people mentioned, asking if branches send a welcome note to new members. And I believe that's going to be covered in the toolkit, but I think that I was shocked when Marcia said that it was a lack of engagement and people feeling ignored in the survey response. So if your branch membership committee or whoever is tasked with your membership contact is not doing something to engage new members, boy, you're really missing the boat. So I read that Healdsburg does, California Online does, San Ramon does. My own branch, the Monterey County branch, does, and I know they had an orientation 2 different times
Mm.
with all the new members coming and talking about all the interest groups. North Tahoe does, and Fallbrook wants to know how they can get other branches to start a high school membership program like they have. So maybe we need to explore that in another potential possibility. I believe you said that was a high school one. And the other question that came up that's really important for all of you is it the president's responsibility to keep the branch officer report list up to date for the board to board? The board officer, BOR as we call it, is short for branch officer report. And every fiscal year that is completed anew. But if there are any changes, you need to contact the state office and have them. Sandy, maybe you want to.
Yeah, so send it to webteam@aaw-ca.org, and that's on the board page, so that address is there. Because if you send it to the office, she's going to send it to WebTeam, so you can skip a step there.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I always forget, but I always think that the web team has more than their share of work.
Well, that's what we do.
Mhm. So let me
Okay.
see if there's anything else.
Well, there was a
Um,
question here about updating bylaws,
Mhm.
and when do we get updates from national or state, and how is that incorporation work?
I can answer
Sandy?
that question because I've been talking to Diane about that. Diane's going to have a peer group for governance. So the branch presidents and the governance chairs or bylaws chairs will be invited to that. National has posted the articles that need to be updated on their website already.
Mhm.
And you have 3 years to do it. Diane's going to help guide the group through how to make those changes. They do not need to have a membership vote. They just need to have a board vote to adopt them. And we are going to file those new bylaws ourselves as well as national, because it's been difficult to get information out of national. So we're going to make a copy for ourselves.
Well,
great.
then Sandy, will we be posting that in the B2B or something with regard to where to find it?
I think she's going to do it as part of the peer group. So
Okay.
I haven't seen her board to board article this month. I don't think it's in this month.
So do you
Okay.
see the other question, that will there be a peer group meeting on the specifics of the marketing plans, materials, et cetera?
So I just
that-
want to point out that this group is not membership, leadership, and branch support. It is branch development and incorporates all three of those areas. So yes, this is the group. You're in the right place that will be talking about that kind of stuff. There's no special marketing group.
Yeah, I
And
think that, go ahead.
it's been posted that we have 5 state board members on our membership list. What kinds of communication should we send to all of our email blasts? Just one announcement of all of our general meetings, our monthly newsletter. We need some guidelines.
So this is, I just want to frame it for the rest of the folks. So this is on the National Community Hub. So there are 4, it's not 5, there are 4, and there should only be 3. It's supposed to be the CFO, the president, and the membership person. So that's Kathy Ford, myself, and Marcia Swales are the 3 that should be on there. Raleigh Wendorf is still on some, not all of them. Raleigh was the CFO last year. She seems to be stuck there. Haven't been able to get national to take her off. And no, you do not need to send us anything. If you're going to send out newsletters, if you send them to branch newsletters and they go out to all of the state leadership and any other people who want them, we're only on that list so that we can help you with the hub. So when people have problems getting members on or have problems with the hub itself and national has not been responsive, or we will help with that, some of the questions we can help answer ourselves. That's why we're on there. When you download the roster, on the very far right-hand column, there is a column that says state manager, and it says true or false. And so if you know how to filter, or if you don't, you can just delete those lines if you want. You just take out those 4 people, and the rest of it is your branch roster. But we don't need to be copied in on all of your communications that go to the branch.
So one of the next things was about what they can share in guidelines with what they can share in monthly newsletters, or how do we find out what we can include in the newsletters or emails? Because some requests have been other nonprofits not dealing with our mission, church and personal requests. We have tried to keep it mission-based. So do you want to address that, Sandy?
Oh gosh, that's kind of that's a little bit of a broad topic. I think in general, we suggest that you keep your newsletter focused on the mission of the organization. We do recognize that, especially in small communities, there's overlap between a great number of nonprofits. For instance, our small community, Dawn and I participate in several other groups, and the lines get a little bit of blurry, you know, as we have other people help us with fundraisers and that sort of thing. So there is some crossover there, but it would be helpful, I think, for just clarity for your own membership to focus on your own mission and what your organization is doing.
The other
Thank you,
thing that
Sandy.
the other thing I could point out is that if you are fundraising, and some of the, whatever your publicity about fundraising, you need to put down what you are, that AIUW is participating in this fundraising. There are fundraising guidelines both on the national PNP stands for policies and procedures.
Policies and procedures.
As well as on the state level. So you can find that information by putting in fundraising guidelines or something. You know, if you can't find something on either our state website or the national website, just use your search, your browser that you use, whether it's Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever you use, and put it in that search engine, and it will come up with some information.
Ginny, you had your hand up. You have a question?
Yeah, I do. You know, there used to be something called MAL list, member at large list. It morphed into national member. And in the past, I used to use that list, which I did get from national when I requested it, from Angie Cooper. Okay.
Mhm.
And that doesn't seem to happen anymore. I mean, there's no national list anymore.
There is.
There is? Okay. I
Yeah.
tried earlier this year. I sent an email and then I followed up later because I never heard anything with a call. And I got a response back. Finally, there is no numbers. There are no members, especially with this new marketing campaign you're going to roll out. It seems to me that, you know, there'd be more prevalence of having people just join national. And then, you know, if they're in our area, we should be getting these names so we could reach out to them. So how do we do that?
Yeah, I think that was publicized in Board to Board a couple of times last year, how to get that list. And you're going to hear the same email address over and over again, webteam@aauw-ca.org. We get the list every month, and Julika has gotten many requests for the list. And if you tell us the area that you're looking at, like your geographic area, she'll cull the list down and send you national members who are located physically in your geography. National has kind of wavered back and forth between calling them national members. We're all national members now.
Yeah.
That was a change with the community hub.
Using.
And they flirted with calling the member at large or non-branch members national members, but they're kind of inconsistent about how they refer to them. But we get the list every month. And if you send an email to Web Team and let us know what you're looking for, we can call the list for you and send it to you.
If we do that, I mean, I have about 30, well, I would say 20 to 30 zip codes that would be in with our area. If I send
Wow.
you the list once, can you keep it, or do I have to keep sending it, or the different?
Well,
zip
we're going to
codes?
do it each time, so we would like you to send it, and you can just keep the email and resend it when you're ready. You know, you don't have to retype it, but just re-forward it.
Okay.
There's also
There-
a question about the governance meeting that Diane will be holding, because the
Can-
parliamentarian in some branch is asking about it.
Can I share? Let me wait before I do that. Let me see what I have on my screen.
We
Let
all
me
love
get
seeing
the-
pictures of your granddaughter. It's fun.
I know. So let me share my screen because I think this is important for folks to know where this is. So if you go up to branch tools, and I realize this is probably small, but
That's okay.
up here in the top, there's branch tools. And on the very first entry, it says AAUW California Peer Groups. And if you go here, this is where the list of meetings is going to be. Now, I don't know if she has set hers up yet. It doesn't look like she has, but this is a summary when they get scheduled of kind of what the schedule is. And then if you click here, you'll see branch development, for instance, here. And here are the different leaders who are on the call today. We generally meet the fourth Tuesday of the month. And when this is recorded, if we click here, it's going to take us to our YouTube playlist. And there aren't any recordings out there yet because this is our first session, but you'll see the recordings here if you want to view that if you weren't able to attend. So I don't think that governance has submitted their date yet. Let me go back here. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, she has not identified her dates yet, but as soon as she does, she'll put them into Board to Board. So you can first check there. And then once she's determined that you'll be able to see that here.
Sandy, in the chat, one of our
Yes.
attendees just commented that the new bylaws group meeting will be on October the 10th at 7.
Okay, great.
And
Great.
Sigrid, this group's peer group things did not appear on that schedule either. So
On the schedule on the,
that Sandy
Calendar?
posted just
Yeah,
a moment.
it is there.
It is there? Okay. Maybe it was just too small.
Yeah, probably.
I've
Get our
been
magnifying
having
glass
some-
out.
I've been having some issues with some of my emails to Web Team going over the hill and down, but I thought we'd resolved all that. So thanks for mentioning that. We'll make sure that it always gets posted. Okay. Any other of you that have questions or comments or suggestions of things that you would like to see covered in peer group meetings and added to our leadership toolkit as we develop it? Marcia's toolkit is ready to go, so it's coming out, but she told you it took her a year. So I'm envisioning that ours will be ready by the end of this fiscal year based on input from all of our different meetings and all of you. So it won't come right after the membership toolkit at all. Okay.
So as Sandy pointed out, on the state website, there is a section called branch tools. And if you scroll down, there is more information than you ever really want to know, but it is unbelievably comprehensively covered.
Exactly.
So take a look and see what's there and, you know, pick and choose whatever you want. It's there for your information and your help.
And it is the best resource. And if you start there, you should be able to find the answer to most of your questions. And it's very, very in-depth, and it just layer after layer after layer. So be sure to take advantage of that.
But you can
Okay.
always ask us first and I'll point you there too.
The old-fashioned way. Yeah. Okay.
And Sandy mentioned the name Julica. She is our office manager.
Ah, yes, Julica. She
With whom
is
we could not function.
And if you send something to ask us first, you may also frequently get a response from Julica because she gets them before they get passed on to anybody else. And she's pretty good about answering the questions that get submitted.
right. And her email would come from office@auwcalifornia.org. So don't ignore that. Okay, any other questions, comments, suggestions?
I would like to point out that there is another place for you to get information. And there has been, what, 24 webinars over the last couple of years, Sandy? I mean, we did webinars for the last 3 years.
A
And
lot.
you don't have to listen to the whole webinar. You can pull it up and look at the slide deck and see if there's anything you want to listen to. It's so that you don't want to necessarily spend an hour or two listening to the entire thing. And that's, I'm hoping that we're going to be doing some work on that too. But we didn't do this just to make ourselves look good. We did this for you.
Yes. So here's another question, Sharon.
That's from Bev. Bev has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Bev?
Yeah, I just wanted to know whether or not we have anything on community members. The reason I mention that, before I took the task of being president of Glendale, I was trying to look at other national AUW branches, and one that hit me was Ann Arbor, which is one of the oldest ones in the nation. What Ann Arbor has is community membership. Now, these are people who are not, they cannot, or they could be like community members, whatever. They don't hold office. They can be part of special interest groups. They pay the branch dues only. And I didn't know if we had anything like that in this state, or, is this just a Michigan thing? I'm just unsure of it. And it was just like another way to think, well, if we had some entrepreneurs and other people who might not be able to become members because of the educational kind of response, what, do we have that, or have other people here done that, or help?
I know
The-
that La Mesa.
I'll give you the
El Cajon-
official. The
Yes.
official is it's not recognized by national. I don't know how Ann Arbor's gotten away with it. We have at least one other branch in California that
Mhm.
skirts that and calls them something else, but it's not a recognized membership category within national. And I do believe that there may be there is work underfoot to raise the membership categorization question again this year. So I think that we'll hear about that coming up as well.
Another vote.
I see
Um,
that.
Go ahead.
Okay, there's another question on the chat that asks about job descriptions for
Yes.
all positions. So do you want to talk about that, Sigrid?
Different branches have developed those job descriptions. I know that my branch has them, and we've created a leadership handbook for the incoming leaders, and we refer to it quite frequently. And it's kind of equal to the bylaws in our branch as to guidance for how we're going to conduct business. And one of the major pieces of it is branch descriptions. And I'd be happy to share that with anybody if you just send me an email to request that, and I'll share that with you. But I'm not aware of any official descriptions anywhere on our California site. Is there anything, Sandy, that you can refer them to?
Well, there's not one place that everything is located. I think that finance has some job descriptions. I know fund has their job description on the fund site. So there are different pieces around. I think one of the things that we were thinking about the power of this group is if there was interest, and I'm not sure how you're going to gather that information, Sigrid, but if there's an interest in looking at job descriptions, for instance, you could have folks submit to you some of their examples, and then we could have a discussion in this group about what's working or what isn't working, and share that information so that we can learn from each other, because some of you have already done that, and that might be helpful to share.
Okay.
The other place, Sigrid, that there is information about board structure in the leadership AUW leadership handout that's on the website. And one of the webinars that is listed was actually a workshop called Help Wanted. And there is an addendum to that webinar, or that it was actually a town hall was the forum. So there were breakout rooms and lots of discussions. And then an addendum was put together, culling all of the best information that came out in that town hall. And if you go to that Help Wanted webinar and click on that, and then click on the addendum, there's a lot of information, 5 pages of information that you all provided when we were doing the town hall breakout rooms.
And it's very, very recent. It was issued in the spring. Was it March or May? March of 23. So this is just very recent and very, very useful. I've read it. It's a great start for anything that you want to do with leadership in your branch, and especially about attracting and training new leaders. Obviously, Help Wanted is we need help. We need more people to take these jobs. I see that San Clemente also has lists their job descriptions in their P&Ps. So we'll gather this all together and get an email out to everybody of who you can contact for examples at the branch level. And then we'll dedicate a portion of one of the meetings this year to talking about job descriptions and where can we get all of the information we need, and should we develop a book or a document for all of the leaders to be consistent with across the state.
So Sigrid, are you
thanks for that.
suggesting that people contact you if they have examples that they want to share?
I think that's the best way, is
Okay.
just send it to me. And then we'll put them all together and try to redistribute them. But also I think we need to create a master that we can agree on for all of the branches. Not that you can't modify them, but it's always good to have a template to work from.
And the other thing is, there are branches all over the state that have different leadership structures. We at the state level call all of the directors, as well as all of the elected people, our leadership team. So, you know, some branches work by committee, some branches work by specific job titles. So all of those would be different depending on what the branch itself does. That's why information is flexible. I notice that
Exactly.
Gail Chesler has her hand up.
Gail,
Yeah, we have a multi-page set of descriptions of jobs, and it's scary. If I provide that to anybody I'm trying to recruit to do a job, I think I scare them off rather than entice them to take the job. So we need to be very careful in how we, if it's too thorough, it's scary.
Yeah.
well, you know, possibly a way to address that would be to create a summary. If you're just looking to talk to people about a job, you know, a little 2-paragraph summary of the kinds of things that job would entail, and leave the document, the official document, with a you must, you can't, you will, for later, you know, as a reference document. But just to get people's interest, and I agree, all of our documents about job descriptions are scary, and you know, it leads to people not wanting to take the job because they think it's more than they can handle.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between marketing the job and giving a full disclosure of the job.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we do the same thing when we do committees. So when we put out our committee application, we do a little short blurb, well, some are shorter than others, of the overall responsibilities and then what the time element is. But then we have more full descriptions for each of the committees posted in our policies and procedures. So you might take a look at that or consider that as another resource or style for addressing that challenge, Gail.
Yeah.
I didn't want to push us down into the weeds. I just wanted to make sure we didn't set ourselves such a high goal that we'd stop getting leaders.
That addendum that I just mentioned has a few blurbs about what to do and where to start and so forth, especially telling people what a time commitment might be, you know, because you ask somebody to be president and then you say, and it'll be, you know, 47 hours every week and we're not paying you anything, but have at it. That's not going to work.
Did you include in that document, I don't have it in front of me now, were there any job descriptions in there or reference to places to look for them?
It was more this is how you can structure your board. This is the various ways you can do it. And here are some ideas about how to handle asking people to be leaders. I believe that's all part of that addendum.
Okay, that's good.
And it's only 5 pages, so you know you can.
That's a lot in 5 pages, Sharon. You were very concise. Okay. Anybody else who has any comments, suggestions, what have you? There are a couple of websites in the chat. Petaluma has a policies and job description on their website, and that's usually where you can find them, or by contacting any of the officers in any other branch that you might know about. But for this purpose, just send them to me and I'll field them and we'll create something that you can use. And we'll talk about it in one of our future meetings. Okay. Any other raised hands? Unanswered questions? Okay. Well, this is great. 35 of you signed in and 35 of you are still here at 1 hour and 10 minutes. This is Lance, a record, you know? So that's great. I'm glad that you're staying with us. I hope that this has been useful and informative and that it gives you kind of a picture of what to expect from our future meetings.
Yeah.
And each of our future meetings will have a specific topic that we're going to talk about. And then we'll open it up to discussion with all of you on what you'd like to see, what was useful from that topic, questions for the person who's presenting, all of those. And we're going to try to keep everything as a town hall kind of format so that it isn't just a push. You know, we're not just here to hand out information. We're here to gain information from all of you because that's the only way we can make this work for all of us.
I hope you
Okay.
noticed the last comment on the chat. It said, I'm
Yes.
very impressed with AAUW California. Thank you.
Right. And here's another one. Appreciate the reminders which have been sent out this year for meetings and webinars. Yeah, we try to keep the communications going, and you know, we can thank our communications director, Dawn, for teaching us how to make this work well and helping us to craft all those messages. So thank you very much, Dawn, because without you, I would probably make 10 mistakes a day. So,
Well, it's John and Sandy, to be clear, and a team of
okay.
9 other committee members.
Yeah, it's a big
should-
committee,
should
but
Share
it's a lot of
the
work.
glory and the blame.
Great, great. Okay, everybody, if there's nothing else anybody has to bring up, we'll draw this meeting to a close. And as we said, this will be posted on the website in the next few days. And so anybody who missed it in your branch that you think would be worthwhile watching it, be sure to direct them there. So with that, we'll close the meeting. And thank you again for participating.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in 1 month. Thanks very much, everybody. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.